Okay, so if you read the title of this video and thought that I lost my mind, I want to reassure you I have not lost my complete mind, okay? I can explain. But before that, let's just get into who I am and we'll get into this story time, okay? Okay, so my name is Deanna Tiffany, and I am a CPA, right? That closed my practice down to go be a fragrance influencer. Yes. Well, not quite. There's a little bit more to the story than that. But to explain that more to the story, I got to actually tell you the story. So if you're ready for a story time, stick with me. We're going to talk about my journey through my career, and maybe hopefully it will give you some encouragement if you have been feeling called to do something. Maybe you feel like a creative on the inside, that there's something that you've been wanting to do so badly, but it just does not make sense to the world. It doesn't make sense in these economies of the world. Then stick with me, rock with me, because you may get some encouragement that you was not expecting, okay? But first, I need to talk about my fragrance of the day, okay? Now, if you end up watching the other video where I'm wearing the same thing, I featured another fragrance. I'm not lying. I did have that fragrance on, but I have another one on too, okay? So, yeah. But let me go get it real quick. We are rocking this beauty right here. Can you see her? I don't know. I need to learn how to do that thing with, hold on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so we are rocking Vanilla Voyage, okay? She just came in the mail today, to be honest. She came in the mail today. She got some aging to do. I could tell the juice is a little light, but she smells good. I got her because I have the other dupe to the Bianco Latte, the Eclair. And something about that has been like a little cloying to me. It's been a little weighted down. It's been a little, I don't know, it's not projecting, it's not giving. There's a little alcohol-y thing going on in the background. It's something about it that I'm just not in love with anymore. But when I got my nose on this one, this was giving what I wanted the other one to give. I don't know what's about it. For me, it's just projecting off my skin a little bit more. For me, it's like, it's less syrupy. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe other people, I haven't heard anybody else say that. Maybe I'm the only one that's getting that. But to me, it's like it's more aromatic than the Eclair. And that's what I wanted in the fragrance, because I feel like it just projects more. It's more nice to my nose. So I don't know. So that's it. So that's what I'm wearing today. It's just a basic vanilla, honey, caramel mixture concoction, and it's giving what I need it to give. But anyway, let's get back into the story time, because I don't know how much more battery I got, so I really can't hold y'all long. And I know editing this. If I got 50 million hours of editing to do talking about myself, I'm gonna be mad. So let me jump to the chase. So before I can tell y'all why I closed down my practice to be doing what I'm doing now, that's not currently producing any income, I gotta give you some background as to how we got there. So, childhood, I'm not gonna go too far into it, but let's jump to the chase. 13 years old. I was dealing with a lot. It was a lot going on at that time. I got involved with the boys. Oh, Jesus, help me. I grew up in a very religious background where it was very legalistic, if you will. I wore skirts down to the ground every day. I was overweight. My parents were Jamaican. We didn't have enough money. We didn't have that much money. Like, we didn't have money for the most part, okay? We were a little bit on the brokey broke side, okay? And I didn't realize how broke we were until I transitioned to a middle school where the kids had parents that had actual two cars to a house, and that was mind blowing to me. I said, what? Like, You have 2 cars? Where they do that at? Okay. And not only that, but my best friend, who's still my best friend to this day, her parents had this beautiful big house in this more higher middle class neighborhood in Chicago. And they had about 5 cars to the house, I think, at that time. 3 of them being luxury cars. So high-end luxury cars at that. They had a big pool in the back. She had a big closet. Like, she had all the birthday parties. All the boys liked her. Nobody liked me. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? She was the star player of all the sports, and I was the bench player of all the sports. Okay, so when we're talking about a 13-year-old and you come into the world and then you're doing this comparison thing, it can steal your joy a little bit. Unfortunately, it got me to the point of wanting to unalive myself because of all the complaining and crying I was doing. A lot of people were annoyed with me, and I was just like, I would be better off if I was just not here, okay? Because I would be less of a nuisance to the people around me, and I would be better off because I wouldn't have to deal with this, okay? I felt trapped in my life. I don't know if anybody can identify with that, but that's a horrendous feeling. And praise God for deliverance, because what got me out of that was literally coming back from another game. I don't remember which game it was, but I was riding the bench again, right? Okay. So we playing the bench. Hey, another game. And people were talking. So it was embarrassing. And I was just, at this point, I was just tired of crying. I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of complaining about life. And also the church I was at, they were always ridiculing me to my mom and saying that I'm this, I'm that, I'm fast. God don't love, like, I need to, God's not going to bless me because I'm not saved and all this crazy stuff, right? Telling to a 13-year-old. Who does that? But anyways, they did it. Anyway, but all these things, I'm just like, I would be better off because now my parents are embarrassed by me. Now they're mad at me for being depressed. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm depressed when everybody else mad that I'm depressed. Okay. Instead of asking me what I'm depressed about or how can you help, you just mad. But hey, whatever. I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I was on that bus ride coming back from the game. And I was just like fantasizing. I was looking at the back of the bus. And I'm like, hey, there's an emergency latch back there. And we're on the expressway right now. And so I was fantasizing about what if I did a mad dash to the back of the bus, unlatched that thing, and rolled out into the expressway. I mean, it would be quick. I don't know if the unaliving would be quick. I didn't think about that at the time. I just thought about just the freedom of jumping off the bus. I don't know. Don't ask me. But it was giving me joy. And the reason why is because it was finally giving me some type of agency as to something I can do about stuff to actually change my situation, because I felt helpless. And I remember so clearly, like I was edging off the seat, trying to hype myself up to actually do it, because I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I got a little bit of time before we off this expressway. So I'm like trying to hype myself up, like, okay, we about to do it. And so I'm inching off the seats, and then I hear this voice so loudly and clearly in my head that says, stop. I need you to stick around because I need you to be the hope for some little girl coming after you that needs to know that she can make it out of her situation because you made it out of yours. When I tell you that changed my life, I had to been like 13, 14 at the time. I don't remember, but I remember at that moment, I kicked into overdrive. I said, say less. I went on a mission to figure out what I want to do in my life. I decided on becoming an accountant because somebody said, hey, you good at math, become an accountant. I said, what's an accountant? They said, I don't know, go look it up. And then I went to the dictionary because we had ChatGPT back then. Hey, we had that dictionary. Okay, so I went to the dictionary. I looked up what an accountant was. It said something about finances. I said, cool, say less. They make money. They do finances. Cool. I'm good with me. Hey, so fast forward, I skipped my junior year of high school, go to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which was ranked number 2 in accounting at that time. I think they still are, but we'll see. But went there and I was like, I remember in my interest survey, I was like, I want to become the best accountant in the world so that I can inspire some little girl coming after me, that she could be the best whatever in the world, so that she knows that whatever situation she was born in, that there's hope to escape that and to become something better and to do something better and to make something better of her life. And that had always been my thing. So fast forward to when I start my career, I realized that I was bamboozled. Okay. I started in the Big Four and I saw that politicking was more important than performance. And I wasn't good at it. I was not good at the politicking. I did have that feeling of, hey, I'm a Black woman here in this white corporate America. And I'm from the South Side of Chicago. I'm not from the suburbs, okay? Because some of these Black people here, they from Schaumburg. They from the suburbs. They from Naperville. Your girl, she grew up in Jeffrey Manor. Hey, okay, that's very different. It's very different than what y'all know. If you know, you know. If you from Chicago watching this, you know. And so I was like, this ain't it. And my career was not off to a great start, and I started becoming disillusioned again. I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So then I switch, and then I go to this other company where I'm doing internal audit, and I'm like, this is better, but then I'm still feeling like, what is my life? And my dad passed away, and after that, I was just looking at his casket going to the ground. I'm just like, why am I living my life for everybody else? Because one day I'm gonna be lowered into the ground. So what's the point? Why am I living this life just to give my mom bragging rights that I'm like this accountant or became a VP at this Fortune 500 company? Like, I don't care about that. I don't care. I want to do something that makes me live up to that promise that I was living for at the age of 14, that said I'm going to do something and become something that some little girl coming after me can look up to. And right now, I don't even look up to my own life. So we got to switch something around. So fast forward, I go and I say, I'm about to go become a hairstylist. Bump all this. I'm like, CPA what? I don't care about this. I do not care. Who cares? And so I went on a journey, moved to Houston, got my cosmetology license. In the meantime, I got presented this opportunity where I was able to be a CFO in the interim for a small business. This is when I get into small businesses, right? This is when I'm getting into helping CEOs and founders of small businesses understand their accounting, understand their bookkeeping, do their taxes, strategic plan for them, forecast for them, right? Just do all these things, CFO stuff, cash flow management, all of that stuff, running payroll, all of it. And the thing is, I got a lot more fulfillment out of that made me realize maybe it isn't that I don't like being an accountant. I think I just don't like doing things that feel like I'm out of alignment, out of purpose with. And fast forward throughout this journey, a few years into this journey, I kind of went back into corporate America again, because during that time, I ventured into entrepreneurship. And what I realized, I started ending up in situations where I was taking on clients that I would have rather said no to, but I had to say yes to them because my rent had to be paid. And that's what they don't talk about entrepreneurship, is that it's more than just the freedom, right? It's the fact that you got to balance making sure your rent get paid when on those low months when your stuff ain't coming through. And you got to take what you can get. And in client service, in finance on top of that, you really just want to make sure that you monitoring who you taking on, because taking on the wrong client can end you up in jail because they over here trying to run the tax plays that they heard on TikTok. Lord, help me, Jesus. But anyways, fast forward, get back. But even still, when I went back to a job, I was still running my practice in the background, even up until earlier this year. And I started feeling this tug and this misalignment where I dreaded doing the work, servicing the work, even selling the work. Like, I would get sad for discovery calls. Like, whenever somebody would book a discovery call with me, my heart would just cry inside. Even if it was a $1,500 client. And that's an extra $1,500 for me. Yay, whoop-de-doo. I was crying inside. Not only that, my health started to cave. And it just felt like everything was just a push and a pull. Like, it just felt like, sorry, y'all, my camera died. Yeah. Where did I leave off? This DSLR camera stuff is ghetto. Y'all ain't tell me before I stopped recording on my iPhone. My iPhone didn't do this stuff. But anyway, let's get back to the story. So, what I was really feeling like was that I felt like I was trapped in a life that I was forced to be miserable in. And yet, this is when I'm starting to discover, like last year is when I started discovering my love for fragrances. I just felt this draw and this wish and this pull that I could just do something else so bad. And I just started feeling like everything with the accounting business was just so hard. Like it things that were easy for other people would just be 10 times harder for me. And it really forced me to go before God and be like, okay, God, like, what are you doing? Like, why is things so hard for me? And what God kept telling me is that He called me to focus on doing His business. Where I was focused on doing what would bring me money, He wanted me to do something that would bring Him souls. And I started feeling that pull and that tug, especially since that after my years of entrepreneurship and a whole bunch of stuff happened, I ended up getting into some additional debt on top of my student loans and stuff like that of money that I didn't even spend. That's a whole nother story time for a whole nother day. Hey, but best believe a lot of stuff just started hitting me out of nowhere where I'm just like, I really need this money. Like, my mom needs a new house. Like there's so much that needs to happen that I can't afford to not have money for. But I felt God constantly calling me to just surrender and trust Him. And throughout that journey, it started becoming more clear to me. Okay, first, focus on evangelism. So add faith into whatever you're doing, right? And so I started doing that, but I was still focusing on that entrepreneur track. But then as the ideas started coming to me for this channel, the ideas were flooding for this channel, for this, what I call a ministry, right? It started flooding, and the desire and the wishing that I had the time to do this was just taking over. But when it came to the other thing, I was just like stuck. I was paralyzed. I was like, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? I'm having all these second thoughts. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And it started becoming more and more clear to me that I believe that this was the area that God was gracing and calling me to. And this was also the area that just brings me joy. Just to be able to talk about the fragrances I love and talk about the Jesus that I love, my God. Like, it I could not have anything better than this. And so, yes, long story short, yes, I did shut down my accounting practice. It wasn't necessarily to do this immediately because I didn't have this at the forefront of my mind, but it started becoming more and more inevitable to me that this is what God was calling me to, what I believe He's calling me to. And so, long story short, that is my story. I wanted to give y'all this so that you know who I am, who you're dealing with, why I'm doing this. I'm gonna be very frank and up for it to y'all. Like, if I could build a perfume business, a perfume decanting business, and use this as a launch pad for this, I would be elated. Elated. That is that's one of my ultimate goals that I would love in my dream life to be able to do. Okay, so I am going to try to tiptoe into that some way, somehow. I don't have all the ideas or the answers or whatever. I don't know how, but I just know God's gonna make a way. But more importantly than this perfume decanting business, the ultimate goal is that someone comes across these videos, gets inspired, and gets intrigued about this God that I just keep talking about and won't shut up about. And that eventually it draws at least one person closer in their relationship with God or to God to begin with. That's an eternal reward that's going to follow me even when I'm dead and gone. And so that's the ultimate goal. And so that's who I am. That's what this channel is all about. And if you don't know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, I implore you, if you're curious, go ahead, ask me questions in the comments. I don't care. Like, message me on social media, whatever. I'm not super big on social media right now. Like, I'm not spending my time there or whatever the case may be. But if you just want to learn a little bit more about this God that I keep talking about, or you just are confused, the Bible is overwhelming to you, you've heard so many things, you've seen so many things that don't make sense. If you are someone who you want to learn a little bit more, or you're just confused about some stuff and you just want some answers, or just to open up that conversation with Jesus, I would love to do that for you. But that's it, and that's all for now. My camera keeps on overheating, losing batteries, doing all this stuff. So I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.